Greetings. Thanks for joining today's presentation, Fitness Technology. This presentation is going to help you learn how to effectively use healthcare technology to address and meet your health and well-being goals. My name's Lisa Holland. I'm the president of the Stay Fit Plan. I have over 25 years of subject matter expertise in primary prevention. I use my passion to help people like you improve your overall health and well-being for a lifetime. The information in today's presentation is meant to educate you. We ask you to work with your primary care physician always when starting any kind of weight or physical activity program, especially if you have a chronic disease. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to look at wearables in the workplace and how activity trackers are impacting employee health. We're going to address a few of the top-selling activity trackers and their applications, such as their websites and the fitness apps that go along with those. We're also going to look at some of the pros and cons of these common top-selling trackers. And then lastly, we're going to address some recommendations from us as it relates to workplace wellness and wearables, along with a position statement as it relates to wellness regulations and wearables. Kind of a food for thought, if you will. So what is an activity tracker? I'm sure that you already know the answer to that question, but I'm going to tell you anyway. An activity tracker can monitor many aspects of your life. It is important to realize, though, that trackers do vary in their methodologies, and even the most consistent of devices may fluctuate in activity tracking depending on variables such as weather, calibration, and even the placement of the device on your body. For the most consistent results using trackers, you're going to want to stick with the same device and do your best to utilize the device in the same way. For example, if you clip your Fitbit to your waistline, you're going to want to do that for each time you engage in an activity to get the most accurate results from your tracker. Let's talk a little bit about wellness security and the impact that some of these trackers could have on personal health information. Symantec provides security protection and malware for Internet security systems. Symantec and Norton Antivirus are essentially the same security suite and one of the most prominent in the industry. The official statement from Director Kevin Haley of Symantec makes it clear that security risks, and specifically personal health information risks, have been overlooked as a massive amount of employer groups rush to integrate device technology with their employee health and wellness programs. The specific methods for leaking personal health information and methods by which statistics may be picked up by other devices is very, very technical. But let's take a look at a few areas that are cause for concern, especially about your personal health information and the way device technology works today. There are several points where data can be transferred wirelessly through device technology. And it is at these points that there may be a tendency for information to go awry and even for your device to be hacked. Most activity trackers require something called a dongle or other USB plug-in that will reside on your personal laptop or computer. The dongle is used to communicate with your tracker so that every time you walk by your laptop, your phone and dongle communicate to one another wirelessly. Once the information is transferred to the dongle, it is then uploaded to the cloud wirelessly and to a companion device such as the phone. And then lastly, that information is then transferred to your online application account or the cloud. Now, trackers vary slightly, but there are often 3 points that I'd like you to think about in terms of where data can be hacked, leaked, or even misrouted in this entire scenario that you see here. So one is the device to the USB or the dongle, the device to the companion, which is the phone, and then lastly, from the dongle to the actual cloud technology. These three all open technology to hacking and misrouting. Now, prior to this, an individual could literally, with another dongle, walk by someone else's computer and have their information uploaded into the wrong account. This was with a technology called OAuth 1.0, which is a common Bluetooth technology used for wireless transmission. The new release of a technology called OAuth 2.0, which is a double encrypted Bluetooth technology, now helps wireless devices reduce the ability for this information to be hacked in the three areas that we talked about, and then thus reducing the likelihood that you're going to misroute or be able to be hacked using a Bluetooth technology with OAuth 2.0. Okay, that was a lot of information. So let's think about where we're going to start in terms of our technology decision, keeping in mind, of course, the security information we just shared. There are literally thousands of fitness websites, hundreds of mobile applications, and dozens of activity trackers on the market today. The options are absolutely dizzying and can leave you with a serious case of post-purchase dissidence. It's important to understand, though, that no device is perfect. As is always the case in the fitness world, companies try to create a one-size-fits-all approach. And even with today's technology, that's not easy to do. Even though these technologies are really great, they do have the ability to miss steps, and because they use different applications and calculations, they're not always counting every single thing perfectly. In fact, some of these websites and trackers have trouble separating a workout from a car ride. So, when you're thinking about where to start, the first question you really need to ask yourself is, what are you looking to track and why? What are your personal health and well-being goals? So don't go to Dick's Sporting Goods until you've really answered this question, because there's so much to do and think about out there as it relates to technology that you want to make sure you're making a meaningful purchase, that's right for you. So is it sleep? Is it running? Are you looking for just a walking? Are you looking for water intake? What's important to you, and what's going to be a motivating factor for you to actually even use the technology for a sustainable amount of time? What motivates you? Is it just the fact that you're going to get a little ding and you've met your goal? Do you want to compete? Do you want to use social media? Technology makes achieving your goals fun, but what is fun to you? Setting goals for yourself can be measuring graphs and charts and working with coworkers. It could be just that you want to monitor your running and your strides. So determining what device is going to work best for you becomes a little bit more complicated unless you really have set goals for yourself and how you want to use that technology. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that you don't get to see when you do make these purchases to help give you a little bit of insight about how some of these technologies work. Now, generally speaking, activity trackers will give you access to an online dashboard. Even the cheapest models sync and report at least your steps and sometimes sleep patterns to a parent website. It's difficult, though, to glimpse these websites when you're making a purchase. But here we're providing you with a quick snapshot of what a Fitbit dashboard looks like. You will see here that this site slices and dices your metrics in a variety of different ways. You can see the number of steps, how many steps you have left to meet your weekly goals. You can even set up some friendly competitions with some of the widgets that are available. So now that you've seen where your information is going to be tracked, when using your device, you can take a closer look at what some of the best-selling companies may have out there so you can make a better choice and decision about what's available. So again, that's just one example of the dashboards. Those are the types of things you don't get to see when you purchase the device, but you can ask a sales associate to maybe show you and take you to some of those dashboards. Let's take a peek now at some of the actual technology that's available. And as I mentioned early in the presentation, we're going to look at some of the most popular devices that are available today. So what you see here is the lowest tier Fitbit model, but it packs a pretty good punch. It still has a display, but unfortunately that display is at the mercy of you because you're unable to do any kind of scrolling. So basically whatever's on the display is what you see, and you've got to wait for the display to scroll itself because you don't have any control over the scrolling. It is one of the smaller Fitbits, so it is easy to lose. So you've got to be careful about that. And it is, now the reviews say that it's waterproof, but according to what's out in the literature today, it's not as waterproof or sweat-proof as the reviews and the technology say it is. The model overall is great for tracking daily steps, and you're able to record some workouts, but the accuracy is not that great. So now let's look at this next Fitbit model, which is a mid-tier model, one of our favorites. It does display your day-to-day steps, and it gives you a pretty good idea of how you're doing throughout a work week, including the weekends. Although not technically waterproof, this little guy has been reported to survive trips through the washing machine. So it's a bigger problem than you think, because a lot of times, if you've got this clipped to your pants and you throw your pants in the wash, and if you've gotten to go get your Fitbit, it's definitely going to go through the ringer, no pun intended. Now, if you're looking at this slide, left to right and top to bottom, the displays that are depicted here, you can see are floors climbed, daily steps, daily distance walked, the time of day, and calories burned. This model is great for recording daily activity, and there are methods to ensure workout calories are recorded accurately, so that's always a plus. You can hold down the toggle with a start for the timer, and when you finish your workout, you can hold down the timer again. This is a little bit of a workout, but at the end of the day, you can replace that timer with workout sessions and enter the approximate calories you've burned. So there's definitely lots of options, and all of those would be in a user manual with this type of device. We're just hitting the highlights. Let's look at another mid-tier model, again, another one of our favorites. And if you're looking to track steps and focus on your day, this is a great model for you. The minimal display still captures goal completion with a set of dotted lights, and it actually makes noises. So when you reach your goal, it'll actually play a little song, and you can dance around and record those activities too, right? So overall, the model looks good. It doesn't demand attention. It's on your wrist, and you can feel good about having it on your person every day, knowing that you're tracking your activity. The Fitbit manual does mention a tendency for steps to be picked up if you have a rough commute to work on a bumpy road. So the accuracy of this is not so great, and it's something you need to consider. Now you can always go into the technology on the dashboard and remove those bumpy car ride steps if that's something you want to do to truly be accurate. The highest level Fitbit model that's available is the Surge. The Fitbit Surge is actually a leader in technology today with regards to activity tracking. It utilizes GPS unlike any other tracker and tracks continuous heart rate, also unlike any other tracker on the market. This gives you an amazingly accurate calorie count. Why so accurate? Well, because other trackers use formulas to calculate an expected calorie burn, while the Surge uses your heart rate and your weight in combination with steps, altitude change, and distance to calculate the most accurate calorie burn possible. It's almost similar to a stress test. It's pretty amazing. The downside of this super machine, well, it's kind of bulky, and if you're wearing it, it basically looks like you're always ready for a workout or going to go out to a run. Secondly, the display is kind of sensitive, so if you happen to tap it while you're sitting down or rub it against your desk or your shirt or whatever, it actually will start thinking that you're ready to start a workout and start tracking, which can be frustrating. Okay, moving away from the Fitbit technology and moving on to Jawbone, we're going to look at Up. So you may not think that it's even worth looking at given the pros and cons displayed here, but the reality is that this is probably the cheapest, least invasive device that will still give you access to the wonderful Jawbone dashboard. Just like the Fitbit dashboard, Jawbone will record everything from sleep and steps to water intake and actually has a robust display for your sleep patterns. Now the next Jawbone is the Up 2. This is a great tracker for individuals looking to non-invasively get a grip on how many steps that they're achieving on a weekly basis. This Jawbone dashboard comes complete with an activity coach, if you will, which will guide you through tips and tricks to get you motivated to keep your steps going throughout the day. It's also quite fashionable. The Up 3 and 4 are very similar models, and the only difference is that the Up 4 can allow you to swipe for payments at retailers if you for those who accept American Express. Pretty cool. The passive heart rate and resting heart rate is an upgrade for their lower tier models, but will not get Jawbone completely to the accuracy of the heart level monitoring that the Surge has. The Jawbone coaching capabilities are more advanced and with the ability to cater to you when you have lulls in your workout activity. So you'll get those extra nudges, if you will, that you need to motivate you more. These top-tier trackers also claim to have an exact sleep-keeping capability and also have a great sleep display. This is a great tracker for folks who are starting to use a device and looking to get acquainted with heart rate monitoring. Okay, so once again, we've gone through a lot of stuff. Some great options for you to think about as you're ready to make your wearable technology purchase. So as we stated earlier in the presentation, it's important to weigh the pros and cons of technology so that you can make a meaningful decision about that technology and wearable devices. After all, these are expensive pieces of equipment, so you really want to make sure you're getting the biggest bang for your buck, and the only way to do that is to honestly ask yourself why you want to use the technology, and hopefully if you're going to be able to sustain the use of the technology. A lot of times things are just shiny and new and we want it, but the reality is usually within 3 to 4 months we have this wonderful piece of technology and it seemed great in the beginning and then we stop using it. So let's look through a couple of these different websites and applications that go along with this technology, again, so you have more information to help you make a meaningful and valid purchase. Spark People has been in operation since 2001. Originally, this site was a very useful tool for logging nutritional information and counting calories, but it has grown up into much, much more. The community aspect within the portal is very robust. You can join hundreds of different teams or even create your own team to collectively work towards a common goal. Pretty cool. The calorie counting tools and exercise logs have also become very robust. The use of the free application is ingenious, and with the launch of specific mobile apps like the 30-day challenge and the new barcode scanning technology, which allows you to log foods by simply scanning a barcode, it really has come a long way. If social gaming and community are on your list of priorities in what you want in a wearable, then Spark People is a must-try for you. I'd like you to keep in mind, though, from a workplace challenge perspective, that Spark People doesn't allow for detailed aggregate reporting of teams. So for competitions in the workplace, Spark People falls short and is not really an application that can be used for worksite wellness when employers want to track activity, perhaps use it for benefit-linked incentives, and also for benefit-linked premium reductions. Okay, so let's look at another one. MapMyFitness and Under Armour have teamed up with Connected Fitness Division. MapMyFitness is now the leader in connected fitness, building the world's largest digital fitness community by providing interactive tools to make fitness social, simple, and rewarding. This website and mobile application work very well together, providing the user a fantastic way to set running-specific goals and gain access to social support, tracking capabilities, and other running routes in their community. Now, if you don't want others to know your running routes, you need to make sure that you set the privacy settings on this application. Now, for runners, depending if you're running alone, safety and security are utmost important, so do remember the privacy capabilities within the technology. MapMyRun is an amazing tool when used correctly. You can take a look at running times and the conditions, as well as tracking other metrics. So if you're a runner and you're really into improving your running routine, then this is an application that you definitely want to look into. Okay, MyFitnessPal. You probably are familiar with this, another StayFit favorite. MyFitnessPal excels at simply syncing all of your devices into one easy-to-understand platform. Whether you're using a phone application or going online, you can easily see your calories, your nutrition, and your activity all at once. Secondly, if you're using a device to log steps or workouts, the MyFitnessPal platform will automatically allow you to sync your activity for an extremely accurate calorie count. What does this mean? Well, it means that your activity calories will be added to your fitness calorie goals for a true depiction of calorie balance. Too often, nutrition tracking devices will simply look at only the food that you've eaten throughout the day and disregard the fact that you've been able to get some calories in there, some physical activity in there to get your calories burned. This is critical if you're looking to burn calories and do weight loss, and you get some extra points for burning some calories, right? So another big plus with the companion phone application is the ability to scan barcodes of food you're eating. So unless you're shopping at a farmer's market, which is obviously an optimal way to shop, all food comes with a barcode. And even organic carrots come with the packaging and barcoding. And you can utilize this with the fitness app. But one of the things I like to remind people about as it relates to barcode scanning of food, you got to keep in mind quantity counts and serving sizes. So if you're scanning a can of carrots or you're scanning a box of some type of food, you got to keep in mind that there's several serving sizes in that box, and there are limitations in terms of understanding where that serving size comes into play as it relates to the upload of these devices and applications. Endomondo is also a very similar application to MapMyRun, but excels at tracking other activities like hiking or playing sports. Similar to MapMyRun, you will need to be able to have your phone on your person as the application tracks your movements via a GPS device. Endomondo resells a robust set of heart rate monitors and tracking devices that sync extremely well with their platform. Fitbit is their recommended activity tracker companion, as well as Zephyr Health heart rate monitors. If you utilize a heart rate monitor with Endomondo, tracking exercises and cross-country training becomes very accurate, especially when measuring and analyzing calorie expenditure. So if you like to hike, you like to run, you like to play badminton, Endomondo is going to be one of those really visual applications that you're going to want to try. It's got a great social platform similar to Facebook. So if you enjoy Facebook and social media, Endomondo is something you should definitely try out as well. Okay. Whew. I don't know. I think I need an activity tracker just to track everything we've talked about. Hopefully, at this point of the presentation, you've realized there's a lot of information for you to understand about wearable devices, purchasing those, security of that information, so that you can make the right decision. We encourage you to log into some of the fitness websites that we've talked about already, Fitbit and Jawbone, so that you can get a real understanding of those devices, what they have to offer, and the pros and cons of those devices, including the specifications. I'd like to turn tables right now and talk about some of the dark sides of technology. A lot of times many people don't even talk about some of these issues, and I think it's important with technology being so forefront and wearable devices really becoming prominent in the industry that we need to address obsessive compulsive behaviors and wearable devices. At a recent Rhode Island Business Group on Health, Dr. Dee Eddington, who is the founder and professor at University of Michigan Health Management Resource Center, also the godfather of wellness, stated that he has concerns about the population becoming the device of our devices, meaning that we may become too dependent on these tools to help us with our own personal health and take away our own accountability and responsibility, looking to devices to actually make us healthy rather than ourselves to get motivated to make those changes. Sure, it's always great to have help, but you have to be inherently motivated to make the change in order for these tools to help you achieve your health and well-being goals. In addition to Dr. Eddington's concerns, we also must consider how devices enable a large subset of the population with debilitating problems that could be made worse when they have obsessive behaviors, such as counting calories. So individuals, for example, with eating disorders, if they get a hold of one of these devices, it could actually compound the effect of their disorder or their disease. With that in mind, we also have to think about creating obsessive compulsive disorder with these types of devices. So again, sure, it's great to be able to track our information. In fact, as a health coach, I actually encourage people to track their activity, log their food intake, so that we can get an understanding of their behaviors. So then we can look at barriers and obstacles to overcome to help them achieve their health goals. And you can use activity devices and trackers to do the same. However, if they become a everyday activity and they're interfering with your everyday life where you can't even sit down to dinner without tracking every little thing, we're actually creating obsessive behaviors with these devices instead of actually helping people. So there's a real balance in determining when we're going to use these devices, how to use these devices appropriately to achieve our optimal health and well-being goals. Okay, so there's the dark side, but there are the upsides. So again, motivation is key, And a lot of times we need motivation as individuals to eat the right foods, make sure we're getting our workouts. And that's the whole upside of these wearable devices. They give us that little extra nudge that we need to say, hey, get it done. And that's when these devices can work effectively to help you achieve your goal. So wellness wearables, the controversies are still out there. We definitely need to consider all of the things that are available to us today, both the good, the bad, and the ugly. We need to think about security. We need to think about our options. We need to think about what our own personal path is so that we can choose and select the quote right technology that's good for you, that will help you achieve your goal and not interfere with the mental aspect of potential obsession with tracking your device and your activity every single day. I'd like to conclude the presentation today with some recommendations for us, from us with regards to wearable devices and technology. We definitely want you to do anything that you can to lead a healthier life. And if device and wearables will help you do that, then we strongly encourage you to go ahead and find the device that's right for you. We also recommend that you look for devices that use the OAuth 2.0 technology that I spoke about a while back in the presentation. Now, we do know for a fact that Fitbit is one of those early adopters of OAuth 2.0. And to my knowledge, Jawbone at this point is the only other device technology that's using OAuth 2.0. Be sure that you look for this type of technology in your wireless device, because this is where you're going to get superior protection and making sure that you're not getting hacked into as it relates to your personal health information. The other thing that we'd like employers to consider, for those of you that may be listening to the presentation today, is that wearables are a really great resource for your health and wellness programs. But one must really consider in the workplace how those wearables fit into your overall workplace strategy. There are currently regulations around wellness programs that speak to benefit-linked incentives. And there are two types of benefit-linked incentives: activity-based and health contingent, health contingent programs. So there's outcome-based and activities-based. If you're using either one of these models, and you're also including wearables as part of a benefit-linked health contingent program, you need to think about the clause in the DOL regulations, Department of Labor regulations, that say that any wellness program that's offered with a benefit-linked incentive needs to be offered to a similarly situated individual. Now, this has not been reported in the regulations, but when you consider that information within the regulations, there is pause to think that if individuals are not using the same device technology, that your wellness program could be in breach of the similarly situated individuals for the wellness program. Meaning that you're going to need to make a conscientious decision as an employer about which device you want employees to use for your benefit-linked wellness programs. Now again, the jury's still out on this. There hasn't been a lot of literature linking the Department of Labor rules with wearable devices. But as a health and wellness provider, it's our responsibility to bring this to your attention. So as you consider this and you start to create policies around wearables in the workplace, it's something that you can think about and talk about with either your current wellness vendor or, hey, give us a call and we'll help you out as well. So I'd like to conclude today's presentation and thank everyone for joining. I hope that the information today has provided you with enough information to make a meaningful choice and decision about the technology and wearable that's right for you, helping you achieve your overall health and well-being.